Hi and Assalamualaikum. So my name is Nurul AZRA Binti ZUMADI and my metric number is 2022786029. So today I would like to present about the occupation of Malaya. Without wasting our time, I will explain about the introduction. Malaysia known as an important sea road that connects to international trade and several civilizations. However, contemporary Malaysia see the history of Borneo and Malaya, which span in many years into the prehistoric past. They are variety of spice of Asia like ginger, pepper, clove, nutmeg and cinnamon have improved Malaysian cuisine. There are a few occupations of Malaya. Firstly is in 1511 Portuguese occupation. Secondly is in 1641 Dutch occupation. Thirdly is British occupation in 1824. And fourthly is in 1941 occupation by Japan. And lastly is in 1945 occupation by British. Now I will explain about the chapter 1, which is Portuguese occupation. In 1511, Malacca was a notable trading hub for the commerce and smuggling of spice. Due to its excellent location, around the time of the Portuguese arrival in the ASEAN seas on the same name strait, many ships and traders from all the ASEAN countries such as Arabia, Persia frequently sail into its port. We know that Asia enriched with Asia spice such as ginger, cinnamon and pepper. The Portuguese quickly saw the importance of the city after arriving in India. In 1509, an expedition was sent to Malacca, but it was unsuccessful and the Sultan ended up capturing the imprisoning many of the Portuguese. Afonso de Albuquerque planned to conquer Malacca in 1511 with ships and his soldiers. For your information, Portuguese has attacked the Malacca in 2 times. At the end, Albuquerque left Malacca and went back to Goa and brought all Malacca valuable to Portugal's king and queen. But in the western waters of Sumatra, his ship, which is also known as Flora de la Mar, was struck by a storm. He was fortunate to survive the catastrophe, even though almost all of the belongings he was carrying were gone.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul and Izati Binti Adnan, and I will presenting the chapter 2, which is Dutch colonization in Malaya. The Dutch began to pay attention to the Malay archipelago towards the end of the 17th century in order to purchase spices directly from the east rather than through the Portuguese. To conquer this group, they must first control Malacca, a strategically important location. After 130 years of Portuguese occupation, the Dutch took authority in Malacca on 40 January 1641. The Dutch increased commerce in Malaya by entry into commercial agreements that mostly benefit the Dutch. Then the Dutch traders were keen to trade in the Malay archipelago in order to get spices such as nutmeg and cloves. As a result of the Dutch colonization of Malaya, the Dutch conquered Malacca from the Portuguese in 1641. Some ruins of structure erected during the Dutch colonialism in Malaya include the Studies Building in Malacca and Kota Belanda Dutch Fort on Pangko Island.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HAFIZAH KHALILAH binti SABRI, and I will proceed in chapter 3, which is about the British occupation. So first of all, British occupation began in Penang on 1971 after officially seizing it from the Kedah Sultanate. Besides, on 17 March 1824, the Anglo-Dutch Treaty, or as known as London Treaty, was signed to end the competition between the Dutch and the British. Next, in 1874, the Pangko Agreement was signed between the British and Raja Muda Abdullah. So, this agreement officially allowed the British to intervene in the affair of Malay states and paved the way for the development of British imperialist power in Malaya thereafter. Although the Pangko Agreement was said to guarantee the sovereignty of the rulers and the position of the Malay states, the ruling power was actually in the hand of the British, who ruled in the name of the Sultan. Next, the Pangkor Agreement allowed the British and the disputing Chinese parties to agree to the Pangkor Agreement. The agreement was reached by 26 Chinese secret society leaders. As you can see in figure 9, Chung Keng Kui, or as known as Chung Ah Kui, is one of the person who has signed the Pangkor Agreement. The Anglo-Siamese Treaty, or known as Bangkok Treaty, was signed at the Palace of the King of Siam in Bangkok. The agreement was the result of secret Anglo-Siamese negotiation on issues of British areas of the influence and Siamese dignity. The British were concerned about trade rivals and influence of French, Russia and Germany, while Siam want to regain the dignity and prestige that had been lost due to the extraterritorial rights it had to give to the Western powers of France and Britain.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NORAFIDA Binti Nasir. I would like to talk about Japan occupation of our country in 1941 to 1945. That means Japan only colonized our country for 5 years, but it caused a lot of bloodshed, tears of our people because of their brutal operations. The Japanese army landed in Malaysia on 8 December 1941 in Kota Baru, Kelantan, and some of the Japanese army landed in Thailand at Songkhla and Patani. The Japanese army only took 55 days to conquer the whole Malaysia after Kuala Lumpur fell to them. At 8 December also, the Kelantan also conquered by them, and on 9 December 1941. Here is the map that shows the progress of the Japanese army on our country, Malaya. But on 13 September 1945, the Japanese occupation under the leadership of the 29th Commander of Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Teizo Shishiguro, began to end in Malaya with the ceremony of handing over the Japanese army to the British army began to be agreed and held in Victoria Institution in Kuala Lumpur. The end of the Japanese occupation and when the cities of Nagasaki and Hiroshima at the Japan were blown up by British Army in August 1945.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad ADRIEL DARWISH bin ZAINUDEAN. I will talk about the British occupation in 1945 to 1957. So, in 1945, after the Japanese withdrew from Malaya, the British returned to rule. The violence of the Parti Komunis Malaya (PKM) has been widespread, causing strained ethnic relation. Therefore, in June 1948, Sir Edward Gan declared a state of emergency throughout Malaya, and the PKM failed in conquering Malaya and the British returned to power. On April 1946, the British established the Malayan Union. However, this idea met with opposition from the Malays due to the abolition of the royal institution and the privileged rights of the Malays. Then, Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra Al-Haj from the Alliance Party in 1952 and began to open the eyes of British to allow the people of Malaya to govern their own country. The Declaration of Independence of the Federation of Malaya on this day in 1957 has opened a new chapter for Malaya, moving forward to take its rightful place for its free and independent member within the circle of countries in this world.
Last one is conclusion. The colonization of foreign powers, which began with the advent of the Portuguese in 1509, was followed by the Dutch in 1597, Japan, and eventually the British in 1945. had a variety of impacts on the sovereignty of Islam in Malaya, particularly negative effects that may still be felt today. The risk in natural resources in Malaya, such as tin ore, is also a role in the entry of foreign powers in Malaya.